views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Time Warner Cable.
Hello and welcome to The Bottom Line. My name is Dana Connors, and I'm pleased to be the host of the State Chamber of Commerce program brought to you each month. And each month we take a look at some of the issues, the programs, the policies, and yes, the people at work, working to improve our economy, working to improve the lives of Maine people. Today we're going to take a look at our younger population, more specifically, those who are entering college or in college, pursuing their educational goals, but facing the reality of the cost of education and the issue of affordability. In the second half, we're going to shift our attention from the education to that individual pursuing their career and the role that internships play in helping achieve that purpose. But first, let's begin with that individual pursuing their education. And let me welcome our very first guest, Bruce Wagner, who's the CEO of Finance Authority of Maine. From here on, we'll call it FAME.
Thank you. Nice
Thanks,
to
Bruce.
be here.
Great to have you back. FAME, it's one of those programs of the state that when we think of it, we think of its success in helping businesses. They have a relationship with banks, they go in and they work with businesses, particularly those facing financial risk. And the state is proud to say that FAME has been a very instrumental partner in many of the success stories that we see in the state today. But you've got another part of that responsibility.
Yes.
I'd like to share that with you today. But before we do that, I want to ask you a question that speaks to your past. I knew you as you were on our board of the State Chamber of Commerce, and I also knew you in your previous career where you were called upon by banks, by other institutions to step into the role of the turnaround agent to help that business to come out of either financial risk or other problems they faced. A tremendous reputation that you had. How has that helped you as you stepped into an organization, government, who also had a risk associated with their responsibilities?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think when I first came, a lot of folks at FAME thought I was coming to turn around FAME.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think what it's really allowed me to do is have a strong connection with the companies and businesses that we're trying to help. I really can have insights into some of the challenges they face and try to come up with the creative solutions that we can bring to help save them and help them prosper going forward. So it's been a very solid connection for them.
And I'll bet you have found that in spite of some perception that exists out there, there is a wealth of experience and dedication in the governmental employee on behalf of the state.
Absolutely. We have just a terrific team at FAME. And I'll just mention, we just received the great news that we were among the companies chosen to be the best places to work in Maine.
Oh, great. That's wonderful.
This is our first year that we've applied, and I'm very pleased that we've earned that honor.
Well, you should be. That indeed is an honor.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the other half, the one not spoken of a lot, but so instrumental in helping our people. Affordability, cost of education. It stands in the way for some to reaching their educational goal. Tell me the role, the expanded role actually coming out of this legislature that FAME now has to help that student deal with the educational cost.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we think of our job as we want to help people aspire, afford, prepare, and now complete college.
Yeah.
And if we look across that spectrum, we help people aspire, particularly in our partnership with the Harold Alfond Foundation and the work we do to try to promote early savings with our 529 program. And we feel the earlier we can engage to do that, the better. We think that's really critical because a penny saved is a penny that won't be borrowed.
Exactly.
To get to your later question, helping people afford it, obviously we want to have people save, but Maine is 7th in the country for the highest cost for education. I should say indebtedness. I think we have around an average in debt of $29,000 for our students. That can be a real barrier. So we're working with a number of programs right now to first try to minimize the amount of debt people need, and then second, make that debt much more affordable.
Let's explore, as I did some homework in anticipation of this part of the program today, I was struck by, it seems like you're almost trying to develop, and this is a good thing, I might add, a one-stop shop where the student can go to your agency and perhaps find the loan that best suits them. Maybe it's a fixed loan, maybe it's a variable, maybe it's a loan consolidation.
Yeah.
Am I correct about that?
You're right on the money, and yes, we very much want to be a one-stop shop. The legislature has enabled that this year. They've passed legislation that will merge the Finance Authority with the Maine Educational Loan Authority. So where there had been two organizations, both with very similar values and culture to help the student, we're now in one shop. So effective in October, that merger will be complete. And so from that, we're very excited because we're going to be able to offer an array of products from our one shop to people who call for help.
So whether they're looking, it's true. It may be some that want that predictability, so they want that fixed loan. Probably today, variables are a little lower.
They are.
And you're hedging your bet, and you can go with that alternative. But how about the issue of consolidation? I've got to believe that it must be a frustrating set of circumstances for a student to have 5 different loans and trying to balance each of them in a separate way. You provide that service as well, right?
We do, and this is, I'll announce it on the show, this is new for us. We're about to introduce a new loan consolidation product this fall. We'll do that in partnership with lenders throughout Maine, so you can go to your local bank, and FAME will guarantee a consolidation loan. And our goal is to do that at rates that are very, very competitive. We want to make the cost of those loans as low as we possibly can, and we'll do that by guaranteeing loans through other lenders that you know well in the state.
Absolutely. I want to back up a bit and start this financing program for our college-age student at a much earlier age. I am proud to say that I'm now a grandfather of 2 young kids who I adore. And in checking out, I find that there's a couple of programs, and I think they're compatible with each other, but I need to have you speak to them. One is, you mentioned it, the 529, the Next Gen, and the other is the Alphon Challenge. For our audience, can you share what each does and how it helps the family prepare for their child's education later on?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited. People may not realize that here we are in rural Maine, but we have the 6th largest 529 program in the entire country. We actually have $8.5 billion in assets that we manage. So the Maine 529 program is sold throughout the country. And it's a great program. So the 529 program, which I give to all my grandkids too, allows you to save pre-tax dollars for college and then spend those dollars pre-tax when you pay for your education later on. So it's just a fabulous deal. And then the earlier you start, you get the power of growth of money over time, that you can have a significant amount of money. The partnership that we have with the Harold Alphon Foundation and specifically the Alphon Scholarship Foundation is just terrific. I think there's no other state that has such a generous program. So in that program, every child born in Maine from January 2013 on is given $500 by the Alphon Scholarship Foundation. And that money is held in an account for their education until they're actually 28 years old. Now, what we would hope people would do with that is, having recognized that, that they have an opportunity and they're starting with $500, we think the ideal thing to do in the connection of the 529 program is to open your 529 account, and then that $500 would go in to get you off to a good start.
It sure would. Oh, that's great. I got to make sure my son watches this program a couple times.
All my kids know when the birthdays come around, there's a token gift and a
right.
check.
Yeah, that's great. One more issue, and believe it or not, we're running out of time.
Sure.
I want to talk about because I think it's very significant, and that is the bill that was brought forward, but I believe, if I'm correct, was carried over. It has to do with that area that we want to place as a state a lot of priority, the science, technology, engineering, and math, the STEM profession,
Yeah.
if you will. There is a program that's carried over. I believe it's the governor's initiative. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, I think it was a great program, and I think it stalled out of the appropriations table.
Yeah.
So the idea was that if you're a STEM student and you agree to work in Maine, you would have your loans forgiven for each year that you work in the STEM field in Maine. And it was extremely generous. It was targeting $10,000 a year for 4 years, so up to a $40,000 loan forgiveness to work and be engaged in the STEM field. So I thought it was a fantastic program, and I hope the legislature takes it back up again.
Well, we'll have to make sure we keep the pressure on, because I think one of the questions that we all have is, are we doing enough to help our young people find their way through and reach their educational goals?
Right.
And there's no question, cost is an issue, and affordability is a problem. And I'm encouraged by what I hear you all are doing at FAME, because it is a natural place to go. And it's even better when you can go to one place and have your questions answered. It doesn't mean that there aren't other opportunities, but it's nice
Right.
to have that one-stop shop, and we all strive for that in a lot of ways. So.
We're working hard to make it a great one-stop shop to visit.
Well, if anybody can do it, Bruce, I know it's you and your team, and I thank you
Well, thank
for
you.
being on the show. It's
My
always
pleasure.
a pleasure. Yeah.
Very nice to be with you.
Thank you. We're going to be right back, and we're going to take a look at how internships can complement this effort and help that student find their way as well in the workforce. Welcome back to The Bottom Line. My name is Dana Connors, and I am pleased to have with me today two people that are going to help us discuss how we move from educational attainment to the pursuit of our career, and what are our best chances of attaining success in that regard. Our guests are, from our own Chamber of Commerce, State Chamber of Commerce, is Joyce LaRoche, who is the Vice President of Membership Services and Programs. And joining her today is the new CEO, President, new as of 3 months ago, Matt Leonard. Matt, it's wonderful having you as part of the Chamber family. And in just 3 months, you certainly have hit the road running, as they say. And we really appreciate your leadership that you've shown in joining us on the program we're about to talk about. But first, as we look at internships, and it's the role it plays and can play in helping our young people to go from that college experience to a job that works for them, so they can find it here in Maine. We have established at the State Chamber a website, Intern Help Me. It's one of many throughout the state, and we all work together very well because we realize how important internships are. But why don't we start right there? And Joyce, I'm going to ask you the question, why are, or how are internships so fundamental to a student's success? Why are they so important?
Well, I'll start with why it's so important to the state as a whole and to the business community and our efforts around workforce development and growth. One of the major and significant factors that are thrown out there nationally is that more than 60% of students who intern with a business are offered full-time employment once they graduate. So when you think about the opportunity we have as a state in developing our future workforce, that's a key factor for us amongst the other initiatives that are going on in other sectors. But from a student perspective and retaining and attracting students for our future workforce, that's a huge piece for us.
Because so often, as we've experienced, the business doesn't know the student's availability, and the student doesn't know what out there is available for them. So we've had the program since 2010. We are about to talk about a pilot program that we've initiated in the greater Lewiston, Auburn area with Matt's help. Why a pilot project now? Why not years ago?
Right. So when we launched the platform initially, we went statewide right away, and we've been working with all the colleges and universities, we've been engaging with students, we've been working with the business community, encouraging them to offer internships. What we've learned over the past 5 years is that we need to figure out what motivate businesses to offer internships, or what tools and resources do we need to provide for them to encourage engagement and initiation of internships around the state. So focusing on a community like Lewis and Auburn with this pilot will allow us to kind of drill down and really interact with the business community and learn more about what those tools are or resources are that we need to develop to encourage businesses to participate and engage.
Good. Matt, you jumped on board this very quickly, showed great leadership. What did you see? What was the motivation behind it that was so appealing for you to step up like this?
I think it's a great opportunity overall to retain and recruit people to the state of Maine. We need that in migration. And I think specifically for LA is we just have the right mix of stakeholders. You know, we have Bates College, we have USM, LAC,
Yeah.
we have Kaplan, Southern New Hampshire University. We have a lot of members of the chamber who are educators, as well as some leading companies in the state, Procter & Gamble being an example. Geiger is also a great example of businesses that already have internships and are willing to work to develop programs that help the state and help the community.
Interesting. For the purposes of our audience, the website is one where the student goes on and provides a portfolio of themselves, if you will. The business community goes on and that's interested in providing does the same, as well as the college or the university. So it's purposely for the audience to understand how it works. So back to your process again. When you've already begun, you've had a couple of meetings, where are you in the process and what are you trying to determine? You talked about the tools and the resources to help us better understand. What is it you're doing at the moment?
Well, our overall timeline for the pilot, we initiated our first meetings in early June. And so we're working with businesses in the community to try to understand and ask those questions and try to gain perspective of how to engage more businesses. So from now through the end of August, basically that's our focus, to try to better understand and establish what the tools and resources are that we need to develop. And then from September through December, we'll really work to educate the business community, have one-on-one meetings, group meetings, things of that nature, and bring businesses to the table, get their commitments to go onto the platform, create a workspace, and give consideration to offering internships in the coming spring and summer season of 2016. And then from January through May, we'll work really hard to make sure that all of the students who are looking for opportunities, all the employers in the region who are looking for students, we'll try and make sure that those all get matched up. And then going into next summer, we'll actually follow a lot of the interns and the employers and look to grab information that'll be helpful to us going forward, both in any additional information that will help us to improve the process, but to also get the success stories. And I'm hopeful that come September of 2016, Matt will be standing before a large breakfast meeting group and will be sharing those success stories, the results, and we'll be celebrating the successes of that.
Matt, what's been the reception of the business community as well as the educational institutions so far?
It's been great. You know, we as Joyce talked about, we had some meetings at the chamber, well attended. There's a lot of enthusiasm about it, and even at a time where a lot of people are on vacation.
Yeah,
I'm receiving notes every day about some very large companies, and not just their human resources department, but the CEOs and the leaders of these organizations, really realizing the value that this program has. And how we really should support it and jump on it so we can further develop it and get it out there statewide.
Oh, that's great. Actually, I think it is. I mean, for 5 years now, we've had reasonable success, but we've really had to recognize that the employer community, for whatever reason, was not participating at the level that would make it the success we wanted to. You're stepping up and reflecting on the number of businesses and the enthusiasm is a very, very encouraging sign, because that's exactly what we've needed in order to really show and illustrate the value, the purpose, and the significance of it. When you say take it, what would you do? I mean, once you develop this, once he does the breakfast and shares it with the world, it then becomes a means to share with the rest of the state. So would you anticipate, as being the parent of this concept, Joyce, that you would go to each region and try to reflect it, or would you go at that point be able to go to the host state?
At that point, this whole pilot program is, I see it as a tremendous opportunity to really learn and develop those pieces that we'll be able to share, like you said, around the state. And being able to demonstrate the successes is really key.
Yeah.
You need to be able to show people that it works and what it does for the region. I mean, we've already had comments from one of the business leaders who was at one of the meetings, who was so enthused about the concept of doing this pilot for the Lewiston-Auburn region and thinking ahead of how this could make the region an intern magnet and really help the community. And the bigger picture down the road is what it can do for the region in terms of economic development and job attraction and business attraction.
Matt, anything you want to add to that? Because I know in the 3 months, believe it or not, that you've started some pretty significant initiatives and, like I said, hit the road running pretty fast. Anything you want to add to that, or are the things that you're doing in the Lewiston-Auburn area, the Androscoggin County, that reflects on workforce or this initiative?
No, I think, we have 2 excellent co-chairs in our Education and Workforce Development Committee, and Jen Hogan and Mary LaFontaine. And they've really taken this as a great opportunity to continue that work. And I think it's just exactly what we need to be doing. And I'm just very proud that Lewiston-Auburn can contribute to the efforts.
Oh, well, actually, we're very proud on the State Chamber of Commerce. Both Joyce and I would share this comment that how the region has stepped up and embraced this concept and the meaning that it has for both our young people, but also for our economy, is without question. So I can't thank you enough.
Thanks, Dana.
Yeah, and thank you, Joyce. I'll see you back at the office in a few minutes. With that, I do want to thank my 2 guests here today, both Joyce and Matt, as well as Bruce. And we're going to be right back with my closing comments right after this. Welcome back. These are my final thoughts for today, for this program, as a matter of fact. As I reflect on the many programs we've had on Bottom Line, it seems that every economic sector that we discuss always comes back to the same point, and that is the workforce challenge that our state faces. The question is, how are we going to grow our workforce? How are we going to prepare our people with the skills and the education they need to compete and be competitive? As a matter of fact, our economists all agree that the economic success in our next 20 years depends upon the quality and the quantity of our workforce. But wait a minute. With that challenge comes an additional problem, and that is we have a flat population growth. We also have a rapidly aging workforce, and that comes at the significant loss of our young people. This program today brings us face to face with the question that we always ask ourselves, and that is, are we doing enough to retain our youth? Are we doing enough to attract those from away or to bring those home that went elsewhere to seek jobs? Well, the answer is no, we're not. But today we shed light on 2 very significant initiatives. One that helps the individual pursue their educational career and face the cost that goes with that pursuit, and ways that they can help them achieve their educational goal and the skills that they need. The other looks at moving the education to the career spectrum, and it does that through a proven method of internships. Yes, both are very, very significant to opening the door of opportunity for our young people. And both truly work for Maine today and tomorrow. With that, I thank you for attending and being a part of today's program. I look forward to seeing you right back here in September on The Bottom Line. And until then, enjoy the sun and the fun of August. Take care.